Antarctica, a land of endless ice and bitter isolation. In the year 1981, this unforgiving continent became the silent witness to a chilling tragedy. The event would come to be known as the Oberson Drilling Team Tragedy, an incident shrouded in secrecy and fear. To this day, the frozen winds carry whispers of what occurred, a mystery unsolved beneath the aurora-lit sky. The remote drilling camp stood alone on the high polar plateau, its few lights flickering under a sky alive with the aurora australis. In the deep austral winter, temperatures plummeted below -100 degrees Fahrenheit, -73 degrees Celsius, and ferocious winds howled across the barren snow. Barely a few thousand people lived scattered across Antarctica's 5.4 million square miles. And on that icy expanse, the Oberson team's outpost was utterly isolated. With darkness engulfing the landscape for months on end, the men at this camp were truly on their own. The Oberson drilling team was a small group of 5 researchers and drillers, led by 42-year-old Dr. Marcus Oberson, a veteran geologist. Funded under a joint scientific initiative, their goal was ambitious: to bore deep into the ancient ice and rock in search of prehistoric climate data and possibly untapped mineral deposits. In early 1981, they established their camp hundreds of miles from the nearest research station, ferried in by a single Twin Otter aircraft that would not return for several weeks. It was late February, and while most Antarctic crews prepared to depart before winter, Oberson's team was resolved to remain through the polar night. Radio contact was their only lifeline to the outside world, scheduled once daily if weather permitted. In the first week, the team settled into a harsh routine. They raised a drilling mast on the ice and began boring a narrow shaft down into the frozen crust. Each day brought 24 hours of twilight or darkness, blurring the line between day and night. Despite the cold seeping into their bones and equipment icing over, early progress was good. By the second week, they had drilled several hundred meters down, and around the third week, subtle cracks began to appear in the team's uneasy normalcy. A massive storm front swept in unexpectedly. Gale-force winds pounded the camp for days, forcing the men to halt drilling and hunker down. During one particularly long, black night of the storm, Alan Thurston swore he heard a strange sound emanating from the borehole. He described it as a low whistling moan rising up from the depths of the ice, unlike anything the men had heard before. The following morning, the storm abated to a sullen calm. Stepping outside the main tent, the men found the drilling rig damaged. A support strut had buckled in the gale, halting their progress. They also discovered something chilling, a set of footprints leading away from the camp into the endless white, partially filled with fresh snow. A quick head count confirmed everyone was present, but the tracks did not match any of their boots and seemed to appear from nowhere, starting near the drill site and wandering off into the blank distance. The men were unnerved but tried to rationalize it. Perhaps the wind had sculpted hollows in the snow that looked like prints, or one of them had sleepwalked. Still, an unspoken dread settled over the group as they repaired the rig. That night, tension ran high inside the cramped living quarters. The 5 men spoke little, each lost in his own thoughts. According to recovered diary entries, Dr. Oberson tried to keep morale up by attributing the footprints to natural causes, but even he struggled to explain them. Around midnight, the camp was shaken by a sudden tremor, a subtle vibrations that rattled equipment and sent coffee cups tumbling to the floor. They rushed outside with headlamps but found no sign of an avalanche or ice shift. The ice beneath their feet was still. When they returned, they realized one of their number was missing, 27-year-old Peter Halverson. Peter's coat and boots were still in the tent. The group panicked, grabbed flashlights, and fanned out across the snow, shouting his name into the storm. There was no answer, only the eerie silence of the polar night and the shimmering aurora above. Exhausted and terrified, the 4 survivors returned to the tent, their faces pale. They radioed McMurdo Station. 1 man missing, conditions brutal. Then the signal cut out, leaving only static. With the storm unrelenting, rescue was impossible. The remaining 4 men barricaded the camp and waited. In Dr. Oberson's recovered journal, his handwriting grew erratic. He wrote of sleepless nights and the feeling of being watched just beyond the reach of the floodlights. They heard faint knocking on the supply shack, but when they checked, nothing was there, only wind and darkness. Oberson began to question his sanity, wondering if isolation had broken them, or if something unseen was indeed watching. On the 4th night after Peter's disappearance, everything fell apart. 1 man, possibly delirious, ran into the dark without gear. 2 others fought violently. The tent was overturned, smeared with blood, and a knife lay on the floor. When the rescue team arrived days later, the site was half buried in snow. The generator was silent, and only the torn tarpaulin flapped in the wind. 3 frozen bodies were found inside, contorted in fear. Dr. Oberson's body was seated against a wall, clutching his leather journal. In his final pages, he described the team's descent into panic and madness. Outside, Alan Thurston was found face down in the snow, as if he had fled blindly into the night. Peter Halverson's body was never recovered. The official investigation was quick but inconclusive. Radio logs in the camp's conditions suggested that something catastrophic spiraled out of control. The report listed causes of death as exposure, hypothermia, and unspecified injuries. The file was quietly closed, but the questions never stopped. Why did experienced men flee without gear into lethal cold? Why the violence? Some speculated that toxic gas from the borehole poisoned or disoriented them. Others whispered about an Antarctic version of the third man phenomenon, a phantom presence that drives explorers to madness. No proof ever surfaced. In the years that followed, the Oberson site was abandoned. The borehole froze over, and the snow erased every trace. Later expeditions avoided the area altogether, calling it cursed. To this day, the Oberson drilling team tragedy remains a dark Antarctic legend, a warning of how even the bravest can fall to the ice and to the darkness within. Whatever truly happened in 1981 lies buried under the cold, eternal silence of Antarctica.